Now at 11, new GOP nominee. Indiana Republican delegates make their pick for Secretary of State. We're breaking down a big weekend in Fort Wayne and how it impacts elections in November.
And we've got another storm threat for tomorrow. Severe storms, including the chance for tornadoes. I'll break down what to expect.
And a dad's legacy, celebrating a unique barbershop that served the community for 70 years. All right, we begin tonight at 11 with a look at live Doppler 13 radar. That's because severe storms are headed our way for Sunday. This is actually kind of a look at what we are expecting. This is a weather impact alert. We want to make sure you're prepared. So we'll start with Rob in the Weather Center tonight. You know, tomorrow is Father's Day. Yep. Lots of people have plans. So I know a lot of people are interested in the timing and then the risks involved.
Yeah, and we'd also have a little bit of severe weather fatigue setting in because we've seen so many storms this past week. Let me show you and talk a little bit more about that area of what we're looking at here. It's mainly from Indianapolis and points to the south, but I really couldn't rule out a chance for storms anywhere in central Indiana. Now, this is the outline. It's a level 2 on a scale of 1 to 5. Now, on Wednesday, we were here at a 4, but I don't want you to think that, okay, this is not going to be that big of a deal, because the concern here is that the tornado threat could be a bit higher. Now, we were up to a 15% on Wednesday, but again, don't necessarily compare apples and oranges here. Know also that there's a hatched area, which means that some of the tornadoes could be strong or long-lived. That would be similar to the strong and long-lived tornadoes that we saw on Wednesday that went through Morgan-Monroe State Forest. So when's the timing? This is going to be an afternoon-evening situation. I think it's going to be after 5 p.m. This could last as long as midnight, along with some pretty heavy rain. Severe storms are going to be likely, damaging winds, and yes, the possibility of tornadoes for tomorrow. And make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts and know your safety plans. Partly cloudy skies, though, for tonight. Doesn't happen overnight, and if you do have Father's Day plans, the early part of the day is better because by 5 p.m. we expect storms to arrive. I'll talk more about the threats, the individual threats coming up.
All right, sounds good. Thanks so much, Rob. Remember, you can track these storms using live Doppler 13 radar anytime. Just scan this QR code to download our free streaming app on your TV and connect with our weather team 24/7. Now to Indiana's most watched political race of the year, Secretary of State. Tonight, we saw the incumbent ousted by his fellow Republicans and a new face chosen as nominee. All of this happening today at the GOP state convention up in Fort Wayne. Diego Morales is out. Our 13 News State House reporter Emily Longnecker tells us who's in.
Yeah, four Republican candidates heading into this convention in Fort Wayne, now down to one. It took 5 hours and 2 rounds of voting for Max Engling to emerge as the Republican nominee for Secretary of State.
Welcome to the 2026 Indiana Republican Party State Convention.
And then there was one.
And our nominee for Secretary of State is Max Engling with 867 votes.
He came into the race at the last minute, but Max Engling was the first to call for party unity when Saturday's convention was over.
And let's go win as a team in November.
During the convention, Engling warned that losing in November could cost Republicans a lot more than the Secretary of State's office.
If we lose this office, we can lose everything else. The Secretary of State is the chief guardian of election integrity. And we must have integrity both in our elections and in our elected officials. They go hand in hand.
Following his win, Engling said as Secretary of State, he'd work towards tightening security around the state's elections.
I've already said it. We're here to close the primaries, make sure that only citizens are voting in our elections.
Heading into the convention, Engling had the support of several top Republicans.
We have to put the best candidate forward who can
including his former boss, U.S. Senator Jim Banks, who, along with Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita, withdrew support from incumbent Diego Morales over concerns Morales couldn't win in November. Those concerns stem from questions surrounding his office's spending and hiring practices. Morales refused to step out of the race despite calls for him to do so. In his speech, Morales urged delegates to choose him again.
I did not step down. I am not a quitter. I am a fighter.
That fight, though, not enough this time. Republicans weren't the only ones in Fort Wayne this weekend with a vested interest in the Secretary of State's race.
I'm going to go anywhere. I'm going to talk to anyone.
Democratic nominee Bo Bai stopped by on his way to campaign at the Shelby County Fair.
I'm going to ask for the vote of the 1,800 delegates in that convention hall today. There's something better that's possible here in Indiana.
Bai's not the only one with his eye on the office of Secretary of State, who thinks it's time for a change in the party who controls the office. Former Republican mayor of Indianapolis, Greg Ballard, was also in town talking to voters. Ballard's campaign announced he's turned in over 52,000 signatures to get on the ballot in November as an independent.
We think there's a real path here to victory.
Ballard's hoping to appeal to independent voters as well as any voters in both parties who are disillusioned, maybe not happy with the candidates their party ultimately chose.
They have nowhere to go. Now they do. Now they have somewhere to go.
And now the campaigns shift their focus to November and wait to see if Greg Ballard does indeed have enough signatures to be on the ballot in November as an independent. He says he does. Both the Democrat and Republican nominees say his presence on the ballot will not change their message or how they campaign. Ballard says the same of them. We wait to see if that changes heading into November. In Fort Wayne, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
So the Secretary of State's race is a big one here in Indiana. We take a deeper dive into everything you need to know about the GOP state convention and the November election on this week's episode of Crossroads Politics. You can watch that for free right here on the WTHR streaming app tomorrow at 10 a.m. Tonight, we're getting new pictures from IFD of a house fire that forced 6 adults and 5 children out of their home. Take a look. Strong flames coming out of the second floor of this home. This is on the Near East Side, 10th Street near Temple Avenue. IFD says smoke alarms help the people inside get out safely. One firefighter did have a minor injury. Crews got the fire under control in about 20 minutes. The cause, though, still under investigation. This weekend, we are wrapping up Juneteenth celebrations in Indy with one of the oldest and largest traditions in the city. Indy Juneteenth Incorporated held its parade and festival over at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. Thousands of people attend the events. The festival featured food, vendors from local black businesses, and a concert as well. The night ended with a fireworks show. This is the 9th year of the Indy Juneteenth celebration.